I felt the urgent need, as I do today, the urgent need to share this information. I want you to see, for example, on the left, you're looking at a sigil, apparently from Solomon, passed down over time, and on the right, you can see what appears to be microcircuitry, or at least what we've been led to believe that in today's technological or nano-micro technological world, it would be what we found inside of Pfizer. Here, and I want you to observe the degree of similarity here because it is more than likely that this self-assembling technology is directly related or is the final consequence of the sigils. That's why I say it's very likely that what was previously done in a ritual setting is now being done technologically. And that's why Mr. Clare, put it mildly, characterizes and describes current technology as a kind of black magic, explicitly making reference to the occult. If it isn't really the same thing, graphene has an exceptionally efficient and perfect conductor. In this case, would not be an inert drawing, but a highly functional and active antenna. In other words, not just say any material will do, just as any old parchment would not have sufficed back then. We can't go into specifics of that era, but we can discuss current technology. We know that graphene is a conductor. In fact, it's one of the best conductors. It can absorb energy from the body's heat, from glucose, and it can also absorb external electromagnetic signals of that frequency. In this case, Solomon's demons would not be trapped in a bronze vessel, drawing a parallel with the hypothesis we're proposing, but rather distributed throughout the biological network of all of humanity. Just as circuit is activated by an electric current, obviously I'm not revealing anything new here. A graphene sigil could be activated by an external electromagnetic signal. Everyone remembers 26 gigahertz, right? Solemnly calling upon intelligence to manifest its presence through the host carrying the sigil, which has that flawless and perfect geometric shape and serves as a signature or unique identity seal of that particular intelligence. This has actually gone quite a lot further than that, because if you truly delve deep into the fascinating world of emoticons, for example, in the vast realm of modern messaging apps, you'll find that the famous emoticons that we all know so well and that you've surely used frequently and still continue to use daily, whether it is to send certain news, express emotions, and so on. Take a close look at the comparison here. On the left side, you'll see the ancient sigils, and on the right, you can see the corresponding modern emoticon, and the resemblance is more than reasonable. For example, the last one, when it's looking proud, is very reminiscent of these seals. The other one, which is the trident of this demon or intelligence, there really is remarkably striking resemblance, as if someone deliberately sought to recreate digitally, not or with a digital signature, what used to be done in deeply ritualistic, whether on ancient parchment or some other material. You might even be surprised to know that some people have actually had these tattooed as well. The famous tattoos, a very dark origin. We have emphasized this many times. Not just tattoos of any other material. In this specific case, the specialized ink is actually graphene inside the body. Disorganized at first, then a signal. Those sigils will be organized, but doesn't this kind of news catch your attention? I thought we reported at some point and now bringing up again. Graphene tattoos. The revolutionary method for controlling the blood pressure is conductive material, a receiver of electromagnetic signals of specific resonance frequencies that can alter the geometry of the material. That's where the key lies. Didn't it strike you as odd that this material is being introduced specifically for tattoos? And the tattoo has the shape, the geometry, and what a lot of people are getting tattooed these days, apart from demons and so on. Didn't this year really catch your attention? Tattoos have been normalized. Yes, now they're moving toward next evolution, becoming advanced to sensors or signal receivers. Isn't that a significant development? For example, it says 2 inks to create this smart tattoo. The researchers utilized 2 different inks, one being black, crafted from conductive graphene aerogel. Well, none of this is a coincidence, not at all, right? Let's carry on. Graphene tends to form hexagonal structures, and interestingly enough, here's a fun fact. The famous seal of Solomon features a hexagon in occultism. According to the ancient Ars Gushisha, that told us to summon a spiritual intelligence, of course, don't seek them out, don't call them. That's the doctrine of the 5th column. It wasn't enough just to say their name. You actually had to use the specifically called the secret words of power. In addition to authority, it had to be done with specific intention a rhythm which is like a wave pattern in a particular vibration, the so-called words of power. During the performance of the ancient ritual, the magic Solomon carefully utilized chant and acoustic frequencies to successfully establish a resonance frequency, both acoustic and mental, with that specific sigil. In the sophisticated landscape of modern technology or nanotechnology, the electromagnetic signal functions essentially as that word of power, and graphene, with certain measurements at scale and specific geometry, responds to exclusively when it receives the exact frequency. Now, just as I say, this all might seem increasingly strange that the information varies from one context to another, but in reality, we're talking about the same thing. In both cases, the frequency is incorrect. There is no communication. In the preceding moments of the ritual, the sigil was inscribed and prepared, so to speak, to provide the celestial intelligence with a stable anchor point, to land a dedicated spot where it could manifest and touch down in the physical plane. In ancient rituals, the sigil was a passive receiver, and that was received by the will of the operator, the magician. Solomon, through the seal that bound them, a certain degree of power was granted by knowing their name and, above all, their signature. But what they're doing now is a reverse operation, introducing the sigil or self-assembling it with a specific signal, which would be the operator's voice, and completing it within biology. What we are doing is to delve a bit deeper into how they carry out the process of possession and hybridization. In current nanotechnology, the self-assembled graphene sigil is actually a fractal antenna due to its geometry, proportions depending on size and specific